putting me on the spot here, but I think that to succeed, you have to be demanding.
Today, we will try to understand how you go from success to failure and then to success again. And then how do you keep the human touch through the journey? So, ladies and gentlemen, Oriflamian, please welcome to Behind the O, Heart2Heart Edition. Our guest today, Thomas Ekberg, all the way from China. Thomas,
Yes.
Super welcome. You know what, I was waiting for this interview for such a long time, and I was preparing, and I think that the first time when we wanted to do it, China was all-time high. And of course then COVID happened, and then we couldn't see you for a very long time, and now we are in a situation where a lot of our, well, not a lot, a few of our major markets are actually not doing as well as we hoped. And one of those markets, or a few of those markets, actually are in your regions. So I think that today's conversation, I would like to devote, first of all, to you, so that people get to know you better. Some people know you well because you've been in the company for quite some time, but some people probably don't because you've been away now in COVID, in China, locked up in the apartment, you know, so it would be really good to refresh. But another part of conversation is also going to be about Asia, about your region that you are taking care of, that you are leading since long time ago in Oriflame, and we want to know everything, and we want to understand what is going on and what are we doing to get it back on track and to show three-digit growth. Yeah? So are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. And first of all, thank you for inviting me and giving me a chance. And it's quite a few times you asked me to be here, and every time when I have been forced to say no or not been able to come, you know, you have this guilty feeling. But now, great.
No guilty feelings. No, let's enjoy that one.
Okay.
I would like to start with a quote that you once used and that you told me that you liked. And I don't know if I'll get it right because I think it was in Swedish, but it was a quote by Ingvar Kamprad, and he said that if you feel too satisfied, it means that you've taken a sleeping pill.
Yeah.
You know, and you said that for you, you never feel satisfied because you don't want to feel like you're taking a sleeping pill. You always want to have the best experience ever. You always want to reach new goals. You always want to be the best, you know, to achieve success, to grow, to go further, to do it better, you know, to improve the details. And I get it, you know, I know you, and it is a fantastic side of you. So how do you feel now when it is actually pretty impossible in the area where you are working to be the best of the best? Or at least it looks like it. And how do you feel with comparing with the past?
Wow, okay, a good reminder about that quote. Actually, I haven't thought about that for a long time. But for me, it's important. First of all, you know, I've been in Oriflame for 20 years. When I joined Oriflame, I could never imagine that I would have stayed here for such a long time. But somehow there's always a new challenge and there's always new things to learn, and it's just so fun to be in these companies because it's always happening things. Sometimes it's good things happening and sometimes it's challenging or bad things happening. And of course this last now 2.5 years has been, very different from what you possibly could imagine. And then I guess most of the audience know that of course the whole world has been challenged with COVID, and I think it's probably fair to say that China and Asia has approached COVID a little bit differently. So of course this has put enormous demands on all of us, and especially.
And you mean the lockdowns, yes?
Yeah, the lockdowns, and you know, not being able to host any type of conferences, events, or meetings. So of course that has put a lot of constraints on the whole organization, and especially our leaders, because the way they have been doing the business before, that they they have not been able to do it in that way for the past 2.5 years, if you speak about China. So that has been a challenge. And then, I mean, what do you say? Wanting to do your best, and I don't know. I'm maybe it's fair to say I'm a competitive guy, but I'm competitive in a how would I say, soft way. It's not about winning, being the best. It's more about like having fun, achieving something together with your team, and just trying your best. That's what I like, because when I do that, I just feel some satisfaction, and I just love seeing when team get excited because they have achieved something that they maybe thought was not possible.
And why does it give you such a satisfaction?
Why does it? I mean, of course, if you set the goal for yourself and you work hard and you achieve it, you know, I think most people feel like, yes, okay, I did it. But somehow when you have the opportunity and the chance to set the goal together with the team, and all of you have this common vision, like in the meeting this morning, we talked about future vision, and we started from this blank paper. How do we want, and this meeting this morning was actually, we had a China meeting, and then we just were drawing this picture. How do we want the picture to look, or the Oriflame picture to look in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? And then when you paint that pictures like you did in school, you try to visualize it. And then once you have that visualization ready and you really know where to go, then you can do all the detailed planning for how to reach there. And somehow this whole process of, first of all, getting that vision and trying to enlarge what you think is possible, and then working together with the team on all the small details to actually go there. That's yeah, I just enjoy it.
Shall we go a bit to the beginning when the things started?
Yeah.
And you know, usually you would expect a question from me now, you know, like how did you start in Oriflame? But actually I wanted to go earlier in years. You know, I wanted actually to go back to your childhood. And I wanted to ask you, have you always dreamt about the corporate career? You know, like being a big boss, flying around the world? Or what were your childhood dreams?
I have not dreamt about that as a child. My childhood dream, I love to play tennis, and tennis was my whole life. I practiced 6 times a week and really, you know, wanted to make something serious out of that. So that was what I dreamt of as a kid, and of course looked up to all these big tennis stars that I wanted to try to be as good as, hit a forehand or a backhand equally good as them. But you know, I never reached to, you know, the highest level. So then when the military service came and you started to study, somehow the tennis was fading away. And I think that I've always been interested in, you know, business, you know, entrepreneurship, and probably at earlier age, or I mean, not earlier, I mean, when I studied here in Stockholm, and at that time I was probably quite confident that I would start and set up my own company. This was my whole dream. I'm coming from an entrepreneurial family, and I just know that I would start my own company. But then during the studies, I happened to come across that there was an opportunity to continue studies in Hong Kong, and that was how my Asia journey started.
But I suppose it was quite an entrepreneurial decision to move to Hong Kong, right?
It was, you know, at that time you passed this notice boards. I think I said this story before, and it was like this poster, you know, anyone interested to join this exchange program. And I just felt that's exactly what I want to do. I have to get that one.
But then I want to sort of like pause here a bit, because where I live now in Stockholm, the area, it's the area where you grew up. And I remember going and visiting your house, your childhood house, when it was on sale. And then you asked me to go and sort of and to film it for you, you know. And then we had this.
When you shared that picture with me, you know, I got the tear because I haven't been back there for like 25 or 30 years or something.
But actually, it was quite an experience because, you know, I mean, I don't know your family, well, except your current family, you know, your wife and your kids. But when I went there, it wasn't like the biggest house in the area, you know, it was quite modest. It was on a very silent street, you know, it was really nice. And it was sort of, I could picture your childhood in this, you know, sort of small family environment. You have a brother, right?
Yeah.
So
younger brother.
You and your brother, exactly. And how you told me, you know, about the cupboards where you sort of, you know, listened to what he was doing.
Okay.
So, you know, and how coming from there, and then suddenly you end up in Hong Kong, you know, from the calmest area in Stockholm, you know, Hong Kong and all this vibe. I mean, how was it for you? And how did you take this decision, you know, to move?
It's a very good question. I guess, I mean, I didn't have any strategy as such. I mean, you always want something. I guess I'm a little bit curious and wanted to explore. And when I found out about Hong Kong, it's just, I didn't know much, but it just sounded new and something I wanted to experience, and let's go for it.
And it was an ad, that triggered
it was a poster on a notice board in the corridor in the university. So just pure coincidence, you walk by that one. But now, when you ask me and when I think about it, then, because there and then I decided I have to be one of the two. And we will not go into that, but now I remember
One of the two?
Because two people could be on this exchange program. And I just felt I have to be that. And then now I recall I did certain things and put in a lot of effort to ensure actually I became one of the two. So sometimes, you know, maybe when I put my mind to it, I really try to go for it.
So you went for it?
I went for it.
And then you worked after this for H&M,
okay,
right?
So then I started in Hong Kong, and I was planning to go back to Sweden. But then the other guy who was on this program, he started to apply for jobs. And then I thought, okay, but I'm done with my studies. Maybe I should do the same.
But did you like Hong Kong? So you wanted to stay in
Asia?
Asia?
I mean, I loved it. It was super exciting. And anyways, so I ended up working for H&M. And I just remembered...
As procurement?
Yes, as procurement, because they had their buying office in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So I was responsible for accessories produced in China. And at
explains a lot.
Same time, exactly, we were setting up our Shanghai office. But I remember the first time I walked into the H&M office, it was like in really downtown on the Kowloon side of Hong Kong, overlooking the Hong Kong island. And I remember when I walked into that office and you had this view over Hong Kong, I just, wow, you know, I have to get this job. But I was, you know, probably just lucky being in the right place at the right time. And
nice. And am I correct saying that you also started working in direct sales while you were in Hong Kong? And it was also some sort of coincidence and an ad that you've seen, right?
Okay, you are really picking up things. No, so then I worked for H&M, and then, okay, this sounds maybe, but anyway, this is the truth. Then I saw an ad about earning extra money. And then I got a little bit curious. So then I called this number, and then it was an American guy who answered the mobile, I guess a mobile phone. And then he invited me. Okay, he didn't want to disclose so much because this was about selling water filters, and it was a part-time job. So then, okay, I came, and I thought I was supposed to meet him. But then I realized I came to an opportunity meeting. So it was not only me, it was me and like 8 others. And then, you know, I got a little bit suspicious, but then they started to talk about it. And, you know, he worked for a logistic company, if I remember right. And then he showed me his extra earning. And, you know.
Was it a lot?
It was a lot.
Okay.
And this water filter thing, that's perfect. Everybody need that in Hong Kong. Let's go for it. And I was straight out of school, and maybe didn't have the expensive to live in that city, and so I joined this direct sales company.
So so how well did you manage?
So then I joined something called a fast track program, meaning that you invest a little bit more, and then you could earn the highest commission.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, let's go all in, because then I will have some pressure on me, because actually their setup was that you join on this fast track program and you actually stock up a little bit. And then I thought, I will stock up, and that will put pressure on me to really sell these water filters, because then my whole apartment in Hong Kong was filled with these goddamn water filters.
Oh my God, okay.
So at some time in Hong Kong, I was famous of this guy, the Swedish guy selling water filters. But anyway, I got rid of them and reached the equivalent level that we call director.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a little bit fun. And, in the beginning, because what caught my interest was that this company claimed, which later proved not to be true, that they had just received a direct sales license in China. As what we have now in Oriflame, but actually they never achieved it. So I thought that, wow, when these guys open up in China, must be a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
So I actually did I think it was my second opportunity meeting that I held myself together with others. I actually did that in Macau. So Hong Kong to Macau, at that time you had to take the ferry.
Yeah.
So I took the ferry over the day, and we had invited some people there, and then I was so nervous for this opportunity meeting, but my sponsor was pushing me, and I was like, but what should I talk about? No, but just talk about your own success story. But I've been here for a few weeks. Yeah, but just share what you've done for the first 3 weeks. And then, you get started, and I did that, and got a little bit hooked on it. But so that I did at that time for some extra income. So after 6 months or something, at that time, I was leaving Hong Kong, and then it was just zippering away.
Okay. And then after this, you saw an ad to apply, or you were advised about the ad, if I remember correctly, about applying to Oriflame, right?
So at that time, then actually I left Oriflame, did something else, and then I joined another Swedish company called Åhléns. Okay. That also has a purchasing or buying office in Hong Kong.
Have you worked in Oriflame and then you left Oriflame?
No. So I was at H&M. And then I left and I joined another company.
Yes.
And then I joined Åhléns, who at that time probably wanted to copy H&M's buying office setup in Hong Kong. So I approached that. So I was still living in Hong Kong. And then at that time, I saw another advertisement then for Oriflame. Yeah. And then I remember, actually I'm connecting the dots now. Yeah. Because then I realized that when I read this one, it's like, wow, this sounds very interesting. I really want this.
And why?
No, because I worked in procurement and that was fun, but I felt something was missing. I'm a kind of sales guy, so I wanted to come closer to sales.
So is it this fun time of being a director at this water filter company?
No, I mean, obviously that helped out a lot.
Yeah. But you enjoyed it, obviously, as well.
I mean, I enjoyed it. And this is actually when I went for interviews to Oriflame at that time, because they were searching I eventually joined as MD of Indonesia. Yeah. And I remember in the interviews, actually, I by coincidence mentioned that I've actually been a direct sales guy. Yeah. But I didn't plan. But then everybody I mentioned for said, really? What happened? Tell me more. And then I realized, okay, this is maybe my card here into this company. Okay. Because I've been on the other side. And that has helped me out a lot. But anyways, so then I joined and packed the bags and together with my wife Anna, and we moved to Jakarta, Indonesia.
And after this, in what countries have you lived?
Okay, so I lived in Indonesia for Oriflame. I lived in India for Oriflame, in Thailand, in Poland when I was working in EMEA, and now back to China then.
Yeah, so it's a lot of traveling around, but mostly Asian region. Of course, you were quite some time in Europe as well. So can you say that if you speak about Asia, because countries are so different, religions are different, cultures are different, is there anything in common that helped you all the time, you know, when you were moving countries? And why do you love Asia so much?
Yeah.
Because you do. I know you do.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. I moved to Hong Kong when I was 22 years old then, and I have always said, like, now we're going to move back to Sweden. So I never had this plan to stay for so long time, but now, you know, it just happened because somehow I enjoyed the time and always had a challenge. I mean, why do I love Asia? Of course, I mean, Asia is very diverse. So, of course, it's like my eldest son. You know, he's born in a Muslim country. He lived in a Hindu country, a Buddhist country. So we live in a Catholic country when we moved back to Europe, and now in a multi-faith city, as we call the Hong Kong. But I love Asia because it's very diverse. And sometimes I think here we talk about Asia as one group of people, but it's probably bigger difference between many countries there than there is, you know, between Sweden and some other Asia cultures. But I mean, I love the people. I love that the economy is growing. It has changed enormously fast, you know, these last years. You know, I feel a little bit proud. I've seen the evolution of some of these cities. I mean, when I joined H&M and did my first trips to Shanghai, I was, you know, as I was by myself at that time, you know, like every second time I spent the weekend in Shanghai and stayed there. And me and my friend, we were just, you know, borrowing some bikes and biking around Shanghai. And Shanghai at that time, I think it was just 5 different skyscrapers where international companies were allowed to be. And if you see a picture of Shanghai skyline today, it's like totally different. And I love seeing this evolution, how I mean, if you could say, Asia economies has changed so much during these years. That's just been fun. It feels like you are in the action.
And you're surprised every time.
No, I mean every time. I mean, I think it's very impressive how fast they have changed and how millions of people have actually moved from whatever lower level to more middle level. And today, I mean, I don't want to say it's, you know, many countries and cities in Asia are extremely sophisticated. They are very advanced.
Absolutely.
And then also you have this, you know, digitalization that somehow push them forward even faster. And these countries have a young demographic, so it's young people. So maybe because of that, they're changing even faster.
But they're the trendsetters now, isn't it? Especially in the digital. I mean, we know that everything, I mean, we already even noticed in Oriflame, and you will confirm what I'm saying, I'm sure, that, you know, if the trend is happening in Indonesia, it'll come to Europe probably in 2 years. So it's better be ready. So it is how the world works now, which is actually, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's cool. And as soon as you know this, you can adjust much easier. Shall we speak then about your leadership? Because I actually see some sort of like, you know, trend here, and I'm also collecting the dots. Okay. Because you were talking about those ads that you were noticing, and then you suddenly got curious, and, you know, you went for it.
It's been many years since I saw an ad.
Yes, but the thing is that you are very well known in Oriflame for a person who always supports new ideas. And, you know, it's not always easy to sell a new idea, especially in a big business, in a complex business, and it's not easy to try something new. And I know that a lot of people in this company, they have a life hack. And the life hack is that if you have a great idea and you really, really know that the idea is worth trying, but nobody really wants to listen, or it's hard to sell it, phone Thomas Ekberg.
Okay.
And then within 5 minutes, if the idea is good, it's gonna materialize either in Indonesia or in China or in India or somewhere else. Why is that so? Is that true?
I don't know, but I mean, I love new ideas. I love to try new things, and
why, Thomas? Why do you like new ideas?
I mean, because new ideas drives us forward, and we learn new things.
So it's your cure against the sleeping pill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe it is the cure against the sleeping pill. Okay, maybe it is. No, but that drives us forward, and you know, of course, some of these new ideas doesn't work. But I also love sell. First of all, I have zero prestige. I always talk about copy with pride. You know, I have implemented many great ideas during my time in this company, but probably most of them I did absolutely not get myself. But I'm good at stealing and picking up ideas from others.
Well, I wouldn't say stealing.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you're supporting others, and also
but somehow I also like the concept when you have an idea and I can instantly connect it how it will work or support our brand partners and leaders, and I realize, or for that sake, something positive for the employees. And if I hear this idea and I get on fire on it, I love to actually sell that idea to my team members and get them on fire for it as well. So somehow, and then when we all agree about it and we all think it's good, and then, okay, let's implement it. And here, as you know, today I spend most of my time working with the China team.
Yeah.
And if it's something I truly love with them, they are super fast. Because once, you know, they decide something and they agree on an idea, it's being implemented like this.
Yeah. So what is important for you when you form the teams around you, you know, in different countries? You have your management, you know, you have regional heads, but then also you have management teams in different countries.
Yeah, yeah.
What is important for a person to have professionally to be able to work with Thomas Ekberg?
I think you need to be genuine. You need to, you know, stand for something. And for me, of course, you have all the basic things. You know, you need to be honest, open, transparent, respect people. Of course, the basic things. Then, on top of that, I like people who can work independently, who can say like, okay, I don't agree with that. I think we should do it in this way instead. And people who are curious, who also, like me, like to try new ideas and pushing them through. But then when you speak about a team, of course, you learn over the years. And as we all know, we need to have, if you build a team, you need to complement each other. It's like a football team, you know, some are good at attacking, some are good at defending. But what I try myself to focus more on now we have a very good team, so I'm very proud and happy to be able to work with the people I work with, and I guess that's the number one key reason why you stay here for so long time. But what I've learned a little bit now is that I try to focus to see sometimes you can get stuck on some person or individuals, like on maybe some weak points of that person. And maybe that person is better in personal connection and building relationship, and maybe not so good in analysis. And then I have realized sometimes I could before get stuck on a little bit, like if the analysis part was not good enough and trying to improve that. But now I instead try to even further improve the strong side. And I think our business is about relationship building. And if you, for example, have a team member who is very good at that, let that person be very good at that. And then we complement and find somebody else who can help out on the other side, maybe where this person is not excelling so much. So when you put the teams together, of course, we all in the end need to support each other. We need to have this picture I was talking about before. We need to be clear on this vision, where we're going. And then we just need to, as we say in Oriflame, work as one team with one dream. And we all know, and I love, and you also know that, I like when teams dare to be open and transparent with each other, when they can share their strong and weaker side, if you put it that way, because then the team know how to help and support each other.
Yeah.
And then we have zero prestige doing it, and we just do it. And if it's one other things which I'm a little bit allergic to, that is working in silos. And if you ask the China team, they how many times I have said that, it's probably too much. But I think it's so important that we at all time we must have the Oriflame total hat on.
And maybe the leader's hat, yeah, because you always keep repeating
of
that
course, yeah,
it
yeah,
should
yeah,
be taken from the perspective of a leader or
Yeah.
brand partner in Oriflame, and how are we contributing to the experience, right?
Yeah.
Because
I
that's
mean,
the thing that you always say in every meeting.
Yeah. I mean, in the end of the day, why are we here? Of course, Oriflame is about fulfilling dreams.
Yeah.
And actually, the important part there is, of course, fulfilling dreams of all these entrepreneurs who start a business in Oriflame. And I think we are all here. We have some responsibility to help these people become more successful. We need to enable these entrepreneurs to earn money doing the Oriflame business. And all of us, it doesn't matter which function you have, we can all support in doing that. And I think it's so easy when we talk, when we make decisions, we need to think what impact does this have for our brand partner and entrepreneurs. And I sometimes refer back to like our founders, what they told me in the beginning. I actually don't remember if it was Jonas or Robert. I think it was Robert. But, maybe we have shared this before, but this radio transmitter. And he explained that Oriflame is like a radio transmitter. Imagine this radio transmitter, and you had 10 different buttons. And all these buttons need to be exactly in the same position for the whole ecosystem to work. And I think that is a perfectly described description of our business model, because it's so many different parts that need to be working together. And you could see this button as experience buttons. And if we all together manage to tune them in and making them supporting each other, that will give benefits to all the people who decide to join Oriflame, to be a brand partner, or even build a bigger career in Oriflame and deciding to be an entrepreneur.
But you know that what you are telling me now, it also has another side, which comes with it, as you cannot avoid it. By projecting what you are projecting, and this is like, you're very curious. You are hunting for new ideas in order to change the situation and make it even better. You are actually known for being so intelligent that you see all the little details, and you want every little detail to be perfect as well, and you expect it from people. You expect authenticity. You expect people not to have prestige, yes? And then you also expect fast speed. It is very, very few people, Thomas, who can do it, which makes you a really demanding manager. And I think that, well, I don't know, I mean, I've worked with you for quite some time, and there is this feeling when one works with you that you want to impress Thomas, because, Thomas won't take any shit, so like you need really to get prepared for the meeting, you need to act fast and you need to perform like on your best, especially when you do projects together or something like this. And this can be demanding. It can also be exhausting for other people. This puts like a lot of pressure on people, and not everybody can cope, and maybe not everybody can work with you. Have you been through these thoughts, and how do you handle that? Because you are demanding.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you're putting me on the spot here, but I think that to succeed, you have to be demanding, and what can you can, like my father told me, you can only try your best, and for me it's like it's stuck in my head. whatever I do, I really try my best. And then I'm fine with that. And then if it goes bad, okay, who cares? I tried.
Yeah.
And somehow I also expect the team members to also do that. And I think all my team members are, doing this today. And if you put pressure, I think it's good to have some pressure, and you need to prepare. I mean, if I have some higher level meeting here, I also have pressure on myself to be professional and try to perform the best I can. But I hope that if people get to know me, they really will find out an easygoing person.
Absolutely. But people, I mean, people quite a lot of time, they try to match to the manager, and that's why I think that it can be perceived. What I meant, that it's not bad. I just meant that, it stretches people. You do stretch people. And it cannot be always easy, because sometimes maybe somebody bounces back, on you. So that was my question more about, how do you handle those situations? When you, for example, feel that, I love this person, it's great working with this person, but this person is not doing their best. I mean, that just little extra is missing, or the person is too much about himself or herself, just in your face and not thinking about the leaders and so. I am sure this.
But how you handle that? Then how I handle that is that, and this thing I can say that I do all the time. Because, of course, you have bigger meetings, and especially in the world where I work is certain culture, how you should behave in bigger meetings. But what I always do is, like, if I pick up something like that in a meeting, in a presentation or something, I always write it down, and then I instantly get back to that person individually, and I get the feedback. I give the feedback instantly.
Yeah.
And many times I must say that has sometimes it's tough, it's not easy to give feedback at all times, but I think when people see that you do it in good situation as well as bad situation, they somehow I feel respect you and see that we do this together and we have an open discussion about it. And sometimes my feedback is maybe right, and sometimes when I get comment back, I realize that maybe I was wrong, and then we agree upon that, and we discuss and agree how to, do it the next time. But instant feedback, I think, is very important.
And I think that you are really a professional of it, and I know that people who work with you a lot, that we actually expect it from you. Like after every meeting, if you don't receive a mail from Thomas, it's like, oh, and this is very valuable, and I agree with you, because, once you don't try to be protecting, your position and point of view, and then you relax and you sort of take in what other people are coming with, it's a very, very valuable thing to receive this feedback after the meetings. And I think that you're a fantastic example of how to do it, because your feedback is always humble. But of course, I mean, it's a difficult thing, because nobody likes feedback, right?
No, but isn't nobody like feedback?
Do you like feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I like feedback. Of course, sometimes feedback can be tough to receive.
Do a lot of people give you feedback?
Maybe it could be more. Sometimes it's, I try to remind myself, it's like, are they nodding because I'm the boss, or are they nodding because they actually agree with me? So sometimes I verify that through some back channels to see it. But I hope that people are daring to give me feedback. And if any one of my team members listen to me, don't hold back, give me even more feedback. And I promise you, I will try my best to improve.
But this is actually a very interesting thing when you said that, like, when you are in the meeting and everybody is nodding, are they nodding because they agree with me, or are they nodding because they're just nodding, you know, or because I'm their manager? And I know that when we are in group management meetings, you are the one who always likes to simply summarize the meeting in the end. You know, you always tell us, okay, what was the main message there? You know, okay, what have we concluded now? And I asked you about this a couple of times, and you told me that because of working in Asia with a lot of different cultures, and then in Europe as well, I mean, with, I don't know, more than 20 countries reporting to you, that you've learned that you should never leave the meeting without actually making sure the people understood everything in a similar way, and that they have an alignment. And are you still doing this, and how did it help you in life? Because I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I burned myself many times when I think that, people said that they'll do it, and then nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
But you were the one who told me that you always, always, always need to check. Are you doing it? Still doing it?
I mean, always doing it. I think we've all been, especially when we have this cross-cultural type of meetings. It's very easy to spend a lot of time, and you sit in this meeting, and you go from there, and then the China team or the Indian team or whatever, GSO team, if you can put it that way, have a different perception of what was agreed and concluded in the meeting. And sometimes it's easy to, you know, when you reflect back on the meeting, you know, what was really decided? What was the action? And something which is very important for me is that it's to have efficient meetings where we have clear, agreed actions, you know. This is what we agreed, this is the decision we take, and if there is an action, it's a person responsible for it. So what I always do is that I spend time, maybe I do it too much myself, is that I always write minutes and try to summarize the things, because that helps me to make the thoughts in my head, what we really agreed about, and it also makes sure that the person part of the meetings, after they read this, they will understand what we agreed about. So if I don't do it myself, somebody else do it, but then I really try to spend time to read through those minutes. But I think for the meetings itself, I think it's important to, sometimes we are so rushed and we're booking, okay, now, 11 o'clock, I book the next meeting 11 o'clock, and you don't have time to reflect in the end of the meeting. And I think in the end of the meeting it's good to ask some open-ended question to the audience, to listen what they perceive that we decided, and sometimes answers can come back which is maybe not exactly what you thought you would hear, because you just have a different perception.
Absolutely. So clarity in communication is important for you, right?
Clarity is important in communication, and it's also important to listen.
To listen to the last drop.
Exactly, as I told you many times. Listen to the last drop, and that, I don't know if I elaborate too long, but that was taught by me by a Japanese trainer, Mr. Motto, and I'm an impatient guy, and probably in the beginning I didn't listen, and somehow in our culture, if it gets quiet, you know, it's like you become stressful, but in many Asia cultures, if it's quiet for up to 1 minute in the meeting, is nothing strange, because you are reflecting on the thoughts. And then suddenly, after 1 minute, someone starts to speak. But if you are experiencing that from the first time, you get stressed, and then suddenly you start to speak, and then the other part will never say what he or she was intending to say.
Interesting.
Because he or she was interrupted.
Now you've been in the situation, COVID situation, with your teams for more than 2 years, 2.5 years, which means that you were managing all your regions remotely from your flat, right? And then I suppose that you being clear in communication, being organized with your minutes must have helped a lot, right? Well, how did you find this, you know, just sort of not meeting people for 2.5 years?
I mean, it's... you really want to cry when you just say that. It's just crazy. How could it be 2.5 years? But this is what has happened. Now, before traveling to Stockholm here, I was traveling via Jakarta, Indonesia, and I met the team there.
For the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, no, 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
The last time I saw them was in Bali in our January seminar 2020.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, the feeling to meet again, it was incredible. But at the same time as me and Fredrik and the team concluded, it's like, it felt like we met yesterday. Because of course we see each other like every week on Teams. So from that sense, it didn't feel strange to meet. It didn't feel like we haven't met for 2.5 years. But at the same time, it was like so nice to meet.
Yeah.
So you have been missing that part. Yeah.
But you had a different experience in China because you really tried to meet your team.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, and then it couldn't happen.
So, I mean, it's very strict restriction here when it comes to lockdown. So now on my last trip to China, I said, okay, you have to sit in quarantine in a hotel locked inside for 21 days. And I said, okay, I have to go, I have to see the team, I have to go to the Shanghai office. I spent 9 weeks traveling to Shanghai from my city, and I never made it to the office.
Because the COVID happened again.
Because COVID happened again and Shanghai came into lockdown again.
Yeah.
So I never made it to the office, but at least I managed to meet a few team members for a few days. And some people have asked me, oh my God, you spent 9 weeks and you never made it to the office? Oh, you must feel you wasted your time. No, I did not waste my time. Because those few days that I got with the team, we met in actually practically my hotel room, a few of them. We had some great discussions, and those discussions I don't think we would be able to have over Teams. Mm. So even if you are, organized and you try to run Teams meetings, you try to be present, and you try to do all these things online, it is you simply need to meet physically at some point.
Yeah.
2.5 years is too long time.
But then when you were there, so this problem with the food supply happened in China, right?
Yeah.
And I remember you SMSing me and saying that there is no food here for dinner, and then I know that our employees were struggling. I mean, how was that? Suddenly in our time to find yourself in a country, in a situation locked up in a hotel without any food, and then knowing that people around you don't have food.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, it felt okay because I know I was in Shanghai. I know all my team members and all my friends was close by. But of course, this has been tough for everyone. And all our employees in Shanghai office has been locked inside their apartments for, now is it 2 or from minimum 2 to over 3 months' time. And then if you're not allowed to go out for this long time, it's a long time. And then there was enormous constraints on supply chain in Shanghai. And food shortage was there, and it was difficult because you need to participate in this group buying. And then our HR team managed to come across some food, some meat, some fresh vegetable that we managed to send to all employees and also our top leaders in Shanghai, and that was extremely well received. So that was good. We could help out with that.
And it's amazing because, such things you don't do for business, because then suddenly, you couldn't do any business then. And then, you just help together with your team. And it wasn't a question about it.
But then it comes just like this.
Exactly.
Of course, we are friends. We just need to solve it.
Exactly. And do you think it's something specific for Oriflame, or did everybody do it?
I think it's, this, we heard from some former colleagues who joined some of our competitors, and they had their internal chat saying, why Oriflame is helping their staff? Why aren't we doing the same? So I think, no, all companies are not doing it. I think it's something that we do in Oriflame because we care. This is more than just a job. Employees, colleagues are our friends, and it goes natural for all our Oriflamians that if you can help another Oriflamian, you just help. You don't even think about it. You just do it. And I must really give super credit to Shanghai HR team and also logistic team, because this maybe sounds easy, but this was no easy thing to achieve.
But don't you think that that's the thing that gives hope and that will make us win in the end of the day after all those pandemics and wars and catastrophes blow over? Because we in Oriflame, we have this care for each other, and that we have this, well, we call it culture, but it is people are friends, people care, people, I don't know, people sort of help each other, you know, when in need, people come together when there are hardships. Don't you think that that's what will keep us going?
I mean, I totally agree, and I think that makes us difference. I think we, of course, it's been tough now, but we know why. We know why. It's not strange. So now it's just about building it back, and you know, we are one team. We have one dream. We know exactly what to do. We help each other. We care for each other. You know, we have our culture, the togetherness spirit, the passion. I mean, these things will make us win.
Yeah. Do you believe we'll manage? Do you believe that China will get back to growth, Indonesia will get back to growth, that will make it?
I don't believe, I know.
Okay, when?
When, exactly. The journey has started. No, but of course, you cannot change this just over one night. But I have no doubt whatsoever. We have a very good product proposition. We have a very good, what we call, income opportunity proposition. And if you add that together with all the different parts that Oriflame can offer, we have something very, very beautiful, and that will make more people join our community, and then we just have to build back.
Thank you, Thomas. That was a fantastic talk, and as you said, shall we reflect about it? So what did you think? You know, was it something here that you feel I missed asking you and you would like to say to everybody?
I mean, I wish to talk longer, and I wish to share even more. Of course, now when you have a podcast like this, you can only scratch the surface.
Absolutely.
But I think in Oriflame we can talk more, especially now when we can meet. So yeah, if anyone is interested in any more stories or hearing something, I can tell you I have a lot of different stories to share. So just grab me and we can have a good, healthy lunch together. And
fantastic. And then if I may conclude, so my feeling after this conversation is that I definitely understand you much better, or I hope that I do. And I think that you are like a radio transmitter of Oriflame, that you are the person who absorb all the new ideas, you are very open, and then you put them together in a pattern, and you all the time make sure, you know, that all those waves, they're interacting in a fast speed, so that, you know, the transmission happens. And I think that once people realize that about you, it is really fun and cool working with you, doing projects together, you know, probably, I don't know, doing cross-functional projects or cross-regional projects. And I really hope that this conversation will trigger it, because I think that you have this enormous capacity, you know, of putting people together and initiating stuff that has never been done before. And I think we should use it more. So I'll make sure that I take it with me as well.
Okay, good. Push more new ideas. You know that I just love these new ideas. So push more things to us, and we will try to implement them.
Thank you, Thomas. And thank you for everybody watching us and listening us. And then Thomas said that if you're interested more, you're always welcome to invite him for lunch, digitally or physically. And you're always welcome to send him feedback. Or if you want feedback, ask Thomas. Right, Thomas?
Thank you.
Good, thank you, Thomas.
Okay.